Just a day after Russian missile strikes hit the southern port city of Odessa, Kiev says that it is still preparing the grain exports from its Black Sea ports despite the latest offensive. This came after Ukraine's public broadcaster quoted the Ukrainian military, saying that the government is ramping up its preparations to restart the exports and that Kiev will continue its efforts to carry on with the grain deal despite Moscow's attempt to jeopardize it. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, meanwhile, slammed Moscow by calling the strike a blatant barbaric act. He further added that the attack was a proof that Russia would find ways not to implement the deal.
Сьогоднішній російський ракетний удар по Одесі, по порту нашому, цинічний, виявився ударом також по політичних позиціях самої ж Росії. Якщо хтось у світі раніше ще міг говорити, що потрібен якийсь там діалог з нею, з Росією, якісь там домовленості, бачите, що відбувається. Сьогоднішні російські калібри знищили саму можливість для таких заяв.
The strikes in Odessa has drawn strong condemnation from the United Nations, European Union, US, Britain, Germany and even Italy. Denouncing the attack, US Secretary of State Antony Blinken said in a statement that the Odessa strike casts serious doubt on the credibility of Russia's commitment to the UN-brokered grain deal. Russia, however, has told Turkey that it had nothing to do with the latest attack in Ukraine's southern port city. Ukraine's Army Operational Command South, meanwhile, has released a new video showing the aftermath of the strike. In the video, firefighters can be seen battling blaze on an unidentified boat, while flames and black smoke billowed from the vessel. According to reports, many have sustained injuries, and the port's infrastructure has also been significantly damaged. The Odessa attack comes just a day after Friday's grain export deal between Russia and Ukraine. The deal was brokered by the UN and Turkey and was signed in Istanbul last Friday. The deal aims to allow Ukraine to export grain via its Black Sea ports. The development comes after months of failed attempts by the West to release the grain stock in Ukraine. This as fears of a global food crisis continues to loom worldwide. It's because Russia and Ukraine are both major global wheat suppliers. And the ongoing war has precisely halted the supply of grains from the region. And for more on this, we were earlier joined by Vladislav Davidson from Odessa, who is a non-resident fellow at the Atlantic Council. Listen in.
It's obvious to a lot of people here that signing deals with the Kremlin and Moscow is not something you should rely on. It's difficult to say how one can sign a deal with the Russians when they obviously do not fulfill their end of a bargain. Immediately after signing something, they'll send a couple of rockets your way into your infrastructure in the middle of a port just to tell you what they think of you. So I don't know, what kind of deal can you sign with them? Secondly, we're back to square one. We need to export tens of millions of tons of grains to the developing world, to Africa, to Lebanon, to Eritrea, to places like Senegal, places like Sudan, which rely on Ukrainian grain. Ukraine produces about 385 million people's worth of food security. They only have 40 million population, so obviously something like 300 million people in the world eat Ukrainian grain in order to live. Without that grain, many people will starve. Many governments will have internal difficulties. There will be more population explosions of people leaving their countries as they don't have food to look for food. This will destabilize potentially the world and European security and African security, Middle Eastern security. And we already know that the Russians didn't despise that fact when it happened in 2015. So I'm happy, they're happy to play down the clock.